An extreme heat wave is moving across the country's southeast. Parts of Victoria and New South Wales are going to climb above 40 degrees today. The sweltering conditions have also put emergency crews on high alert, preparing for another dangerous day on the front line. Wild weather is expected to hit South Australia as well, with the possibility of heavy rain and floods. We've got reporters across the country, including Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra and Adelaide. Let's begin with Eliza Edwards here in the nation's capital, where firefighters predict a massive fire will burn close to Canberra south as temperatures are spiking. Eliza, we've got the fire map, I should say, suggesting just how close it gets to some major population areas.
The ACT fire authorities have released this fire spread prediction map, which is pretty concerning. It shows the Orrell Valley blaze could impact the town of Tharwa and the Canberra southern suburbs of Gordon and Banks over the weekend. This is just a worst case prediction, but authorities are very concerned about these deteriorating conditions. Temperatures set to hit 41 degrees today and tomorrow, and the winds are set to pick up as well. Those southern suburbs are obscured by smoke behind me, which is a blatant reminder for people to remain vigilant. This fire is currently at advice level, but it's only 3 kilometres away from homes, and there is a concern that embers could spark spot fires in those urban areas. The ACT Fire Commissioner says today and tomorrow will be danger days.
It's significantly challenging conditions, particularly on Saturday, where we will be in the extreme range of fire danger index rating. What we are saying to our residents through the door knocking we've been undertaking and the evacuation planning that we have in place is that should that fire threaten our southern suburbs, we will issue timely evacuation orders and we will continue to support them through that process.
As you can imagine, Tom, Canberra residents are reminded of the 2003 bushfires, which were catastrophic. They claimed lives and homes. But one Tharwa resident says this time feels very different. They're much more prepared and they're not too worried about history repeating.
The difference with 2003 is it's to the south of us. It's much, much smaller. 2003 came from the northwest at a 50-kilometre front. It created winds of 100 kilometres an hour. This is nothing like that. It's also nothing like the coast. The winds up here swirl around a bit in the mountains around the fire, but once it comes out onto the farmland, it comes to a dead stop. The winds are normal. They're northwest winds during the day and easterlies at night.
Fire crews have also been flown down from Queensland to help firefighters contain this massive blaze, which is now currently 18,000 hectares in size. Tom?
Eliza, thanks. We'll keep a close watch on that. Victorians, meanwhile, are being told to limit their electricity usage as temperatures soar across the state there. Live to Patrick Murrell, who's at Port Melbourne for us. So, Pat, the parts of the network could actually be intentionally shut down if the strain becomes too much.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. We're heading for a top of 43 degrees in Melbourne today, and as the temperature and humidity both increase, Melburnians and Victorians will turn on their air conditioners for some relief. This will put an enormous strain on the electricity grid, and it's forecast to be the biggest demand for electricity in 6 years. Now, to help soften some of the strain on the network, the Australian Energy Market Operator has asked people if they can reduce their electricity usage between the hours of 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight. We're going to see the biggest spike around 4 p.m. in the afternoon. They released a statement earlier this morning. I'll read it out to you. It says, AEMO is requesting consumers in Victoria reduce their energy usage between approximately 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. to help minimise potential for electricity supply disruptions this afternoon. While there are currently sufficient electricity reserves to manage the peak electricity demand today, this situation could change. Now, this means turning the air conditioner to a bit of a higher temperature than usual, perhaps 23 instead of 20, not using air conditioners, not using dishwashers or other washing machines, and temporarily turning off pool pumps. Now, if this isn't enough and the demand is still too high, then AEMO may engage in what's called load shedding, where they turn off parts of the network to protect the integrity of the whole network. This usually starts by ordering some of the biggest electricity users, so factories and plants, to shut down so there's more for everybody else to use. Now, isolated blackouts are also expected as poles and wires, the hardware, if you like, of the electricity system buckle under the heat. We're seeing a total fire ban across most of the state. There's a severe fire danger rating for the central, north and western parts of Victoria. It is getting quite hot, as I mentioned, here in Melbourne. It's already about 34 degrees, heading to 43 degrees. And to help some of the homeless in the city get some relief from some of this heat, the City of Melbourne, the council, is actually giving them free pool passes as well as free movie tickets, Tom.
Well, there you go. There's a handy little aspect to get. Nothing quite like being in a movie theatre on a hot day. Pat Murrell, thank you to Emily Burley, where we've got everything today with the weather. Very hot and very wet, Emily.
That's right, Tom. Severe heatwave warnings are in place right across the state again today. People still being told to keep indoors and keep cool. The temperatures, though, a little bit lower than yesterday, around the 40-degree mark. But the humidity today is much higher, making things very uncomfortable. A very uncomfortable night for a lot of people around the state. That humidity is driving thunderstorms. Rain's already falling in the northwest. It's going to make its way over Adelaide in the next couple of hours. But in the next couple of days, we'll see pockets of up to 100 millimetres of rain around the state, particularly later today and tomorrow morning. That's caused a flood watch to be issued for the north, the central north of the state, right through to the southeast, including on Kangaroo Island, where that rain will be welcomed by firefighters still working on the ravine blaze there. In Adelaide itself, even just this afternoon, we'll see pockets of up to 50 millimetres of rain, likely flash flooding around the city. That's prompted the Bureau of Meteorology to issue a road weather alert, telling people to be safe on the roads today and slow down. But Tom, thankfully we will see a cool change this afternoon into tomorrow. That'll bring that temperature down and ease off that humidity. It'll make its way further east over the weekend.
And it will be welcomed with open arms. Emily, thank you. Quite the day or two coming up for South Australia. In New South Wales, residents are going to feel the hot and muggy conditions today, but the heat will be at its peak this weekend. Stella Todorovich reports on the elevated fire danger as well in the state.
The areas of concern are the south coast and Canberra once again as a heatwave sweeps through the state, fanning the flames of more than 50 fires. Temperatures will nudge towards the 40s today, a top of 39 for Penrith in Sydney's west. Slightly cooler on the south coast, a top of 35 for Batemans Bay. A total fire ban is in place for the Monaro Alpine, the Southern Ranges and the Southern Slopes.
We've got fire generally in the Snowy Mountains region that is still not contained and threatening a number of rural properties. And then we've got that fire in the ACT that's likely to enter New South Wales either late today or overnight tonight. Now that fire will potentially impact on areas northwest of Micalago, and we're putting in plans for extra trucks, aviation to try and protect properties in those areas.
A very high fire danger rating is in place for the region. 15 schools on the south coast will be shut today, keeping the children at home and out of the heat.
And that south coast area, that unfortunately, like the north coast before last year, it's just been dealing with fires now for some time into the months, not just weeks. So look, those communities are getting a little fire fatigued, I think, because they're quite concerned about that ongoing risk. We just need them to maintain focus through this weekend again.
Firefighters will be on high alert over the next 24 to 48 hours. The humidity could make their jobs a little easier. The conditions this weekend won't be as dry as they have been so far during this deadly bushfire season. Reprieve is on the way, a cool change coming through, but not until Sunday.